So, how do you buy a new Toyota Tacoma? This really applies to any vehicle, but we're driving around in a Toyota Tacoma, and I buy a lot of Toyota Tacomas, so it's kind of why I've specified that. First of all, before we get into that, someone had asked me recently, a few people, about how the air conditioner is in the new Tacoma. I've got to tell you, it's awesome. Works just as good as any other air conditioner, honestly. I mean, it's 91 degrees outside right now in South Texas. I have the air conditioner set at auto 75, and it's perfect. I mean, 75 is like the perfect temperature anyway for me, and it works really, really well. So no issues with the air conditioner in the new Tacoma. But let's get to the topic. How do you buy a Tacoma? Well, first of all, obviously, you have to decide what it is that you want, what trim level. Because I think if you decide that off the top, then you can focus more on what's important is pricing. So pick out what you want. Get on the web, go through the options, decide what you want from a base standpoint. In other words, what are the things that you have to have that you're not willing to compromise on? Once you do that, you kind of have a base level for what your pricing is going to be. Next up, I would go out to the dealer sites, whoever is in your area or whatever dealership you might want to buy from, and see what's available. Now, if you're looking for a new Tacoma, you're probably going to find there isn't a lot available. However, a lot of the dealerships will list their allocations, what they have that's coming in, and if it's a really good dealership, they'll also include if there's a sale pending on that truck. By the way, a little caveat to the sale pending notation, that doesn't mean the truck is sold. That simply means that somebody said they wanted it. I would bet you that probably half of those trucks probably fall through. Either people can't get financing, they didn't wait and they bought something else, or they simply changed their mind. So if you see a truck that says sale pending, you can still work on that one, but keep in mind, you might lose it. So you've looked at the allocations, you see what's coming in, find a truck that's in your price range, whatever it is that you'd be willing to pay, given you're going to negotiate some amount off. Now, the first part of negotiation is to determine what options that the dealer is adding you don't want, because those options are not on the truck yet. Those are things that the dealer has not spent money on and that they're going to add later on, things that you can have removed. I did it on my own truck. I didn't want the front end protection. I didn't want the spray in bed liner. I didn't want some other kind of, I think, interior cloth protection. All things that cost a ton of money, right? So I told the guy, the sales guy, that I wasn't interested in that stuff and I didn't want any of it on the truck. I will tell you that they did go ahead and do the paint protection. I think I mentioned the spray-in liner. That actually is, I think, a factory option, so not something you can negotiate on. They do it before it ever arrives. But the front-end paint protection, the film, I did not want. Well, whoever got the truck in, I assume it was at distribution, they went ahead and added that anyway. I did not pay for that. It's on the front of my truck. It's in the handle areas where fingernails scrape up those areas. I actually think that's a good thing to have. But I didn't pay for it. It's on the truck. So anyway, you can negotiate those things off, thus lowering the price of the truck, right? Now, once you find something that's coming in that has what you want and the options that you don't want to pay for, now it's time to actually contact a salesperson. Now, I would highly recommend doing that via email or text, because you get everything in writing and you don't have to spend a lot of time sitting at the dealership. You know, part of the game and the belief is the longer they can keep you at the dealership, the more apt you are to buy something. So don't do it. Do it all from the comfort of your own home or your own phone. Now, you can go back and forth. I would start off with maybe a little bit lower than you want to be. I mean, if the dealership says yes, that's a win for you, right? Now, as far as what to negotiate on, it depends on your situation. If you are buying it outright for cash, let's say, then you want to negotiate on the price of the vehicle. what's left after your trade-in. And that's another thing. Value your trade-in before you go. See what they're selling for. And I'm not talking about retail. I'm talking about wholesale. Check out the sites that will give you pricing on your vehicle. Check out CarMax and see what they're going for. That'll give you some idea. Then obviously you can subtract that from the price of the vehicle and you know what kind of money you're looking at, right? Don't forget tax, tags, title, things that the dealership is not going to give you a break on. So you could add probably, anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 to the price of the truck to cover those things. And by the way, here's a tip for you. Always trade in your vehicle at the dealership unless you can sell it privately and get enough money to offset what that tax amount is going to be. In other words, if you're listing the truck, say $30,000, or you want $30,000 for it, you could have traded it into the dealership on a, say, $50,000 truck, and you're only going to be taxed on the difference, $20,000. But if you sell it outright, you're going to go to the dealer and you're going to pay tax on $50,000 as an example. So really, you would have to increase the price of the truck that you're selling outright to break even on that tax amount. Does that make sense? Just something to consider. So the other thing is leasing. Now you're going to want to deal on payments because you're not going to own the truck. You are renting it, if you will, from the dealership or the leasing company, not the dealership. So you want to be concerned with what it's going to cost you every month, right? You don't have to worry about what it's going to be worth unless you're buying it out at the end, because you don't own it anyway. So I would always negotiate on payment if you're leasing the vehicle. Now, what if you're going for a loan? Well, there are so many different avenues to take there. You're always better off, most of the time, to go in with your own financing. Get a hold of your bank, your credit union, however you can finance it, and see if you can get a better rate than what the banks are paying. And ask them. You can give them a call and tell them, hey, I know my truck is worth X, I'm turning it in, I'm gonna finance $20,000. I only wanna do it for 3 years or whatever it is, what's my payment? And then you will know, you'll have an idea. And do it for different terms, depending on how long you wanna go. 3 years, 5 years, I wouldn't go any more than 5 years. Honestly, 3 years is probably the sweet spot. But you'll know up front when you go in what it's gonna cost you. Now, the dealership, they're gonna want you to finance with them because they get a kickback from the leasing or loan companies if you take out that loan with them, because obviously the banks or leasing companies have a vested interest. They're making money in interest, right? So just be aware of that. Sometimes you can get a better rate at the dealership, particularly if they have specials going on, like 2.9% or no interest. That's a free vehicle, or free money, I should say. Never a free vehicle, but it's free money over the term of the loan. Anyway, those are just a few ways to do it. Stick to your guns. Make sure you know what you're willing to pay, and don't go over that. Because, of course, the dealership, they're trained to do that. They're going to throw all kinds of things out there trying to get you into that truck. If it's not what you want, walk away. You can always go back another day, wait a little while, or even talk to a different dealership. That's the way I do it. It's worked for me so far, and I've had many different Toyota Tacomas. Leave a comment. Let me know. What do you do? Am I missing something? Is there some much better way to do it? I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.